Listen, success isn't about grand gestures. It's about the small decisions you make every single day. Maybe it's reading that extra chapter, maybe it's making that difficult phone call, maybe it's pushing through when you're tired. These daily choices shape your destiny. Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. Love is not supposed to feel like war. If every day feels like you're walking into battle, if you're bracing for the next fight, flinch when the phone rings, or stay quiet just to keep the peace, that's not love. That's survival. And survival will drain you. It will convince you to stay because you've invested too much. It will whisper, at least they came back. But love doesn't keep score. Love doesn't make you bleed just to prove you're loyal. You don't owe anyone your peace just because they can't find their own. If you're constantly hurt, constantly anxious, constantly shrinking, just to be enough for them, it's not love. It's a battlefield. And you weren't created to live in a war zone. Staying is not the same as being valued. Let that sink in. They didn't stay because they saw your worth. Sometimes they stayed because you let them. Because you bent, broke, and begged to keep them from walking away. That's not being chosen. That's surviving. Too many people confuse endurance with love. You think, we've been through so much, but was that love? Or was it damage dressed up as depth? They pull you close just long enough to keep you hoping, then push you away to keep control. It's a cycle, one that wears you down until you forget what peace even feels like. You are not hard to love, but the longer you stay where love is conditional, the more you'll believe you have to earn it through pain. Don't confuse chaos for care. Being picked doesn't mean being treasured. Don't settle for survival. Be honest with yourself. Have you been calling pain passion? Have you mistaken emotional whiplash for chemistry? If they make you cry more than they make you laugh, if your heart races from fear and not excitement, that's not passion. That's instability. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that love has to hurt, that if it's not dramatic, it's not real, that peace is boring. But here's the truth. Unhealed people crave chaos because it feels familiar. Ask yourself, why do you stay with someone who confuses you more than they comfort you? Why do you think silence after a fight is space when it's really punishment? Why do you fight to prove your worth to someone who keeps moving the finish line? This isn't a love story, it's a trauma loop. And the only way to break it is to call it what it is. Pain, not passion. You were not built for this. You were not born to battle your way into being loved. You were made for peace. You were made to rest in someone's presence, not wrestle for their attention. Let me be clear. You're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. And deep down, you know that. That sick feeling in your chest, that's not love. That's your body telling you this isn't safe. You deserve to be chosen without conditions. You deserve calm. You deserve a kind of love. A soft place to land. So stop apologizing for wanting something steady. Stop romanticizing the storm when you were born for sunlight. You are not a soldier. You don't have to keep fighting to be enough. This is your wake-up call. Walk away from the battlefield. Your peace is on the other side. Somewhere you were fed a lie wrapped in movies, songs, stories, telling you that real love is supposed to hurt, that if it doesn't break you down, it's not deep, that chaos means passion, that jealousy means love, that pain means it's real. But let's clear this up right now. Pain is not proof of love. And if someone keeps breaking your heart just to come back and fix it, that's not romantic. That's manipulation. We've romanticized suffering. We've glorified the chase, the drama, the emotional roller coasters. But here's the truth. Love isn't supposed to confuse you. Love doesn't make you question your worth. Love doesn't make you anxious every time they go silent. You don't have to bleed to prove you're capable of loving deeply. Stop calling her a soulmate. Stop thinking love is a battlefield, because the kind of love that lasts, it's steady, it's safe, it heals, not harms. Let's get something straight. Yes, real love takes effort, but effort is not the same as exhaustion. Effort is mutual growth. Effort means showing up, communicating, working through problems with honesty and care. It's both people trying, not one person fixing while the other keeps breaking. Emotional damage, that's when you're always the one holding the weight. It's when your peace depends on their moods. When every week brings a new wound you have to patch up just to keep going. Effort makes you stronger. Damage makes you smaller. If you're constantly recovering from emotional bruises, if your heart feels heavy all the time, if you're living in a state of repair, what you're in is not love, it's survival. Let's talk about why you feel nothing when someone is actually kind to you. Let's talk about why calm makes you nervous and nice, makes you suspicious. You've been trained to crave chaos. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that love is supposed to feel like a storm, loud, intense, unpredictable. So when it doesn't, you wonder if it's even real. But that rush you're used to, that pounding heart, the nervous waiting, the walking on eggshells feeling, that's not chemistry. That's your nervous system stuck in survival mode. That's your body bracing for impact because it's been taught to expect pain where there should be peace. Let me say it straight. If you think anxiety is attraction, you'll keep running toward the ones who hurt you. And you'll keep running away from the ones who could actually love you right. It's not that calm is boring. It's that your body doesn't recognize it yet. You've been told to chase sparks, to wait for the fireworks, the butterflies, the emotional high. But not every spark is a sign of love. Some sparks are warning signs. Some sparks start wildfires. You've been chasing the ones who set everything on fire, then act surprised when they burn it all down. You keep calling it passion, but passion without peace is just chaos, in a pretty disguise. Let me give you another picture. Love that lasts doesn't explode. It glows. It's a steady warmth, not a flame that flares up and burns out. It's safe. It's stable. It doesn't leave you guessing. You need to stop confusing intensity with intimacy. Stop believing that love has to knock the wind out of you to be real. The right kind of love feels like a soft place to land. It doesn't make your heart race with panic. It slows it down with peace. Why does it feel off when someone shows you steady kindness? Why do you pull away when someone is gentle with your heart? Because peace feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar things don't feel safe, even when they are. You've gotten used to chaos. You've made room for heartbreak that feels like home because it reminds you of what you grew up around. So when calm walks in, you don't know how to hold it. But that discomfort, that's your healing in motion. It's your nervous system learning a new language. It's the start of unlearning the belief that love has to hurt to be true. Here's the truth. If kindness makes you want to run, if peace makes you suspicious, it's not a sign to leave. It's a sign to stay and grow. Stay. Breathe. Let calm hold you until your body stops bracing for betrayal. Because you don't need another fire. You need something that finally lets you rest. You've called peace boring because you've never lived in it long enough to feel its strength. But let me tell you something. Peace is not weak. Peace is powerful. Peace is where real love can finally breathe. In chaos, you're always in survival mode. There's no space to grow, no time to rest, no chance to build anything lasting. It's like trying to plant seeds in a windstorm. Nothing stays rooted. But peace is where love matures. It's where trust is built brick by brick, not forced in a day. It's where you learn to speak without fear, to listen without defense, to love without losing yourself. If you think peace is boring, maybe you've only known relationships that exhaust you. But the love that stays, the love that builds, the love that doesn't make you question everything, it doesn't need chaos to feel alive. It just needs room. Room to breathe, room to be. And maybe for the first time in your life, it's time to give love that kind of space. You keep asking, why do I always end up with the wrong person? But the answer isn't random. It's pattern. It's familiar pain wearing a new face. Unhealed wounds don't just sit quietly in the past. They drive your choices, shape your boundaries, and whisper lies that sound like truth. If you've been abandoned, you might chase love that never stays. If you've been belittled, you might accept someone who makes you feel small. It's not that you want pain, it's that pain feels familiar, and what feels familiar often feels safe, even when it isn't. This is why you keep going back to what broke you, why you stay longer than you should, why you keep calling dysfunction, passion, and chaos love. The truth is, until you heal the wound, you'll keep repeating the story. Same plot, different character, same heartbreak. You're not cursed, you're just wounded, and those wounds are choosing for you. Imagine trying to find your way with a broken compass. You trust it, you follow it, But every time it leads you in circles, right back to the same pain, right back to the same kind of person. That's what unhealed trauma does. It becomes your internal compass, guiding you not toward peace, but toward what's familiar. And because your body remembers pain more than safety, it confuses suffering with love. You think, this must be what love feels like, but it's not. It's just what you're used to. That's why you overlook the red flags, why you justify the mistreatment, why you tell yourself, maybe I'm the problem. No, you're not the problem, but the compass you're using is. If you don't fix what's broken on the inside, you'll keep choosing people who break you on the outside. You'll keep calling it fate, when really, it's just the same pattern on repeat. You can't build a new life with old wounds guiding the way. You need to recalibrate. You need to heal. That's how you stop circling back to hurt and finally walk forward into peace. Some of you were never taught love. You were taught survival. You learned to keep the peace, not speak the truth. You learned to walk on eggshells, not set boundaries. You learned to accept crumbs, not expect care. Maybe the love you saw growing up wasn't really love. It was fear, control, silence, or absence. And now you carry those blueprints into every connection, thinking, this is just how love works. But no, love is not pain. You have to earn your way out of. Love is not disappearing because someone else is shot. Love is not staying quiet to keep someone else from leaving. If no one showed you what safe love looked like, how would you know? If all you saw was survival dressed up as loyalty, how could you expect more? Here's the good news. Just because it's all you knew, doesn't mean it's all you're meant for. You're allowed to question what you were taught. You're allowed to say, that wasn't love. And when you do, that's when you start choosing something better. You cannot choose different if you don't heal different. You can't expect your life to change while you're still driven by the same pain. You can't expect to find peace while carrying the patterns of war. Healing isn't soft, it's hard. It's looking at the wounds you've spent your whole life avoiding. It's unlearning the stories you were told about your worth, your voice, your love. But it's also the most freeing thing you'll ever do, because when you heal, you stop reaching for the people who can't love you. You stop chasing what hurts you. You stop needing pain to feel alive. You start trusting peace. You start choosing people who see you, hear you, hold space for you. You stop begging to be picked and start choosing yourself first. Healing rewrites your compass. It shifts the direction. It says no more cycles, no more survival, just peace, love, and truth. So if you want different, you have to become different. Not by pretending, but by healing. That's how you stop settling. That's how you stop circling. That's how you finally start living. Peaceful love doesn't make you afraid to speak. It doesn't leave you wondering where you stand. It doesn't punish you with silence or guilt. Real love feels like a safe room in a noisy world. You don't have to shrink to be heard. You don't have to shout to feel seen. You don't have to hide your feelings to keep the peace. If you're afraid to bring things up, if you're always watching what you say, that's not peace, that's fear. Love isn't perfect, but in healthy love, conflict doesn't feel like war. It feels like growth. Two people solving a problem, not trying to win an argument. Ask yourself this: can I be fully honest in this connection without being punished for it? If the answer is no, that's not love. That's emotional survival. You deserve to speak without shaking. You deserve to be loved in a way that quiets the storm, not creates it. The right love won't belittle you. It won't mock your dreams, ignore your voice, or make you feel less than. Peaceful love builds, it supports, it sees your strength and celebrates it, not competes with it. You should never feel like you have to choose between who you are and being loved. Love that's worth keeping will never ask you to shrink. And no, it's not too much to want someone who listens, who lifts you, who encourages your growth, instead of feeling threatened by it. Ask yourself this: do they make you feel stronger or smaller? Do they support your healing or punish your hurt? You'll know it's peaceful love when you stop walking around on emotional eggshells. When you feel safe to be messy, human, real. Love doesn't always sound poetic. Sometimes it's just someone showing up again and again, gently, fully, without fear. That's the kind that builds. When love doesn't come with drama, it can feel weird, uncomfortable, quiet, almost too quiet. That's because you've spent years thinking chaos was connection, and now calm feels like something's missing. But let me tell you, that urge to run when it's peaceful, that's your trauma flinching. That's your nervous system looking for the fire it's used to putting out. Don't confuse the absence of tension with a lack of love. Don't run just because you're not constantly bracing for pain. Peace doesn't mean lifeless. It means stable. It means clear. You might not feel butterflies. You might feel ease, and that's the point. Butterflies are beautiful, but they also show up when we're nervous. Sometimes the spark you're waiting for is really your body warning you. Stay long enough to learn what calm feels like. Because peace doesn't scream, it stays. Stop asking, do they love me? Start asking, does their love feel like peace or pressure? Love is more than just a word, it's a way someone shows up, listens, makes space, offers calm, not confusion. You deserve a love that eases your heart, not tightens your chest. You deserve a connection that doesn't feel like a constant performance. If you're always explaining your worth, always apologizing for your needs, always trying to earn affection, that's not love, that's pressure. The kind of love you need won't make you guess. It won't keep you up at night, wondering if you're enough. Raise the standard, not out of pride, but out of peace. Because the right person won't love you in pieces. They'll love you in wholeness. And that starts with you refusing to settle for pressure, dressed up as love. Choose peace. Then let your love life rise to meet that choice. There's a difference between guarding your heart and locking it away. One protects what's sacred. The other hides it out of fear. You weren't meant to live behind walls, but you were meant to be wise. Guarding your heart doesn't mean shutting people out. It means letting the right ones in slowly. It means paying attention to patterns, not just promises. It's easy to become hard after heartbreak, to armor up, to expect betrayal before anyone even gets close. But wisdom isn't about fear, it's about peace. It's learning from what broke you, not becoming it. You don't have to be cold to be safe. You don't have to be suspicious to be strong. You just have to know the value of your heart, and stop handing it to people who haven't earned it. Let love in, but let it prove itself. Let trust grow, but don't rush it. Your heart is not a battleground, it's a garden. Guard it, not by closing it, but by choosing who gets to walk in. And let that choice come from wisdom, not fear. You stayed too long. You made excuses. You told yourself it would get better. You kept waiting for them to see your worth. But let me tell you something, that doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. You stayed because you loved deeply. You hoped hard. You believed in someone who didn't rise to meet that belief. And that says more about your loyalty than your failure. Yes, you stayed too long, but now you see what you didn't before. Now you feel the cost of abandoning yourself to keep someone else. That's not shame. That's growth. You needed that pain to wake up, to rise up, to realize what you'll never tolerate again. Now you know how to spot the red flags. Now you know what your peace is worth. Now you know that staying in the wrong place doesn't prove your strength, it drains it. You can't change the past, but you can choose what kind of love you walk toward now. And this time it won't come from desperation, it'll come from clarity. So no more regret, only power, only wisdom, only forward. Your heart is a garden. It grows loyalty, trust, laughter, depth. It holds roots, it nurtures, it's sacred. So why are you handing it over to people who only know how to burn it down? You've been planting flowers, they've been throwing fire. And still you keep asking, what more can I give? But here's the truth. Some people don't want your love, they want control, they don't want peace, they want power. They enter your garden not to grow with you, but to dominate the soil. And you keep letting them in because you think love means never giving up. But real love knows when to close the gate, when to protect what's growing, when to say, not here, not anymore. Stop giving sacred space to destructive people. Stop watering weeds and calling them roses. You are not meant to live in emotional war zones. You are not meant to be the battlefield and the healer. You're the gardener. So start acting like it. Choose who gets access. Choose who brings peace, not smoke, because your heart is not a battleground. And it's time to stop letting warriors in who never came to love, only to conquer. You don't owe anyone access to your heart just because they want it. You don't have to explain your standards. Wonders, you don't have to feel guilty for saying no. You are allowed to walk away from chaos. Even if it once felt like love, even if it's all you've ever known. Peace is not too much to ask for. It's the bare minimum. If someone constantly drains you, confuses you, tears you down, and then calls it passion, that's not love. That's chaos in disguise. And you're allowed to be done with it. No explanation, no second round, just done. You are allowed to raise the bar, to stop trying to fix people who keep breaking you, to say, I've had enough fire, I'm waiting for peace. Waiting doesn't mean you're lonely. It means you're protecting your space until it's filled with something true. And when peace shows up, it won't demand to be chased. It won't punish you for your past. It won't feel like chaos. It'll feel like coming home, like quiet strength, like finally breathing fully. You don't have to earn peace. You just have to choose it. And that choice starts now. You say you want peace. You say you're tired of the games, the pain, the confusion. But let's get honest. How can you attract peace when you're still feeding chaos in yourself? You keep chasing people who hurt you, ignoring red flags you swore you'd never overlook again. Why? Because somewhere deep inside, you don't believe you deserve better. And that's the war you need to fight first. Peace isn't just about who you choose. It's about what you tolerate. And too often we tolerate pain because it feels familiar. You drink from the cup of self-destruction, negative self-talk, toxic habits, shaming yourself for your past. Then you wonder why love tastes bitter. Let me tell you something. Inner chaos calls out to outer conflict. What's unhealed in you will attract what hurts you. And that's not fate. That's a pattern. You want love that feels calm? Then stop living in emotional storms. Stop entertaining people who reflect your worst thoughts about yourself. Stop confusing chaos for connection. Peace isn't out there. It begins with how you treat you. And if you want to invite calm in, you've got to stop lighting fires in your own soul. Think about the way you wanted to be spoken to. When you were hurting, when you failed, when you felt unworthy. Now ask yourself, is that how you speak to you? You keep waiting for someone to come along and say, you're enough, you're lovable, you matter. But what if it has to start with you saying it first? Your self-talk is either healing you or harming you. You want someone who's patient with your flaws, but you beat yourself up for every mistake. You want someone who sees your beauty, but you only see your damage. That voice inside, it's shaping what you accept. It's building the lens you see love through. If your inner world is full of shame, you'll settle for anything that feels like validation, even if it comes wrapped in pain. But when you start talking to yourself with kindness, you start walking away from people who don't. When you show yourself respect, you stop entertaining disrespect. Speak to yourself the way love should sound, with patience, with softness, with truth. Because the words you say in your own mind are the foundation of every relationship you build. You've spent years waiting for someone to show up and choose you, to listen, to stay, to love you fully. Instead of begging for love, you became the one who gave it. You don't need someone else to make you whole. You need to stop abandoning yourself every time you're afraid of being alone. You need to stop settling for half-hearted love, because you've convinced yourself that's all you'll get. What would change if you gave yourself patience, instead of punishing yourself for not healing faster? What would change if you looked in the mirror and said, I'm still worth love, even with these scars? You've spent so long pouring into people who never poured anything back. You've been running on empty. You've been hungry for affection, but starving yourself of self-respect. That stops now. It's not selfish to love yourself. It's survival. It's strength. It's the soil peace grows in. So what if today, you gave yourself everything you've been craving from others? What if you stopped waiting for someone to come fix you, and became the one who fought for your own peace? Everything changes when you stop waiting for love, and start being it. You keep searching for a place to belong, but maybe that place isn't a person. Maybe it's you. You deserve a love that doesn't make you question your worth, that doesn't leave you anxious, that doesn't play games with your heart. You deserve a love that feels like calm, like truth, like coming home after a long, exhausting journey. But let's get clear. You'll never recognize that love out there if you haven't built it in here. You've got to become your own safe place, your own voice of reason, your own source of care. Because when you know what it feels like to be loved by you, you'll stop begging others to love you right. You'll stop chasing love that costs your peace. You'll stop settling for someone who doesn't see you, because you finally do. Say it out loud: I deserve peace. I deserve a love that doesn't hurt. I deserve to feel safe inside my own heart. Let that be your new standard. Let that be your new starting point. You don't have to chase love anymore. You don't have to fix yourself to earn it. You just have to stop giving your peace away to people who don't protect it. Start with you, and everything else will rise to meet that level. Because peaceful love isn't found in the arms of chaos. It's built inside you first. And when you carry peace, real love recognizes it. You've made it through the chaos, through the sleepless nights, the anxious mornings, the tears you couldn't explain. You've survived the kind of love that made you doubt yourself, that made you question your voice, your value, your worth. And if no one's told you this yet, that survival was no small thing. But now comes the real test. Not just surviving the storm, but refusing to walk back into it. Because survival is only the beginning. Peace is the choice you make after the damage is done. You can't build a new life if you keep returning to the ruins of the old one. You can't walk into freedom while dragging chains behind you. Let me tell you something real. You've already proven you're strong. Now prove you're wise. Choose peace. Not once, not for a moment, but daily, actively, on purpose. That means not answering the text from someone who only remembers your worth when they're lonely. That means not just checking in on someone who left you bleeding. That means not romanticizing the pain that nearly broke you. You didn't survive all that just to call it love again. You didn't heal to turn back. You've done the war. Now choose something different. Choose peace. And don't just stumble into it. Build your life around it. You keep checking in on pain like it's going to give you a different answer. Like maybe this time it won't hurt. Like maybe this time it'll finally love you right. But wounds don't heal when you keep picking at them. They don't close when you keep going back to what caused them. Some of you are not broken from love. You're broken from staying where love never lived. And the hardest truth? You keep choosing it again. You miss the chaos. You miss the drama. You miss the person who gave you just enough to keep you hopeful, and too little to keep you whole. But that's not love. That's emotional starvation. Stop calling your hunger chemistry. Stop reopening the doors that were meant to stay closed. Stop telling yourself you can handle it, when you know deep down you're bleeding all over again. You've already done the pain. You've already cried the tears. You've already learned the hard lessons. So why go back? Why let someone re-break what you worked so hard to heal? Let this be the moment you protect your progress. Let this be the day you stop answering calls from the past. Let this be the choice that changes everything. You don't need another scar to remember what hurt you. You need peace. And you need to stop giving pain permission to walk back in. Peace isn't a luxury. It isn't something you stumble into after you've exhausted all the wrong choices. It's not a miracle. It's a standard. And until you make it one, you'll keep chasing people who give you chaos and calling it chemistry. You were not built to endure constant emotional storms. You were built for calm, for connection that doesn't hurt, for conversations that don't leave you second guessing everything. Peace is not boring. It's beautiful.
It's the place where love breathes and trust grows. So make it the requirement, not the afterthought, not the pleasant surprise. Make it the filter. If they don't bring peace, they don't get access. If they trigger your anxiety more than your joy, that's your answer. If you feel like you're constantly auditioning for their love, walk away. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to justify it. You just have to choose it. Because peace is not rare. It's just not loud. And if you've only known noise, stillness will feel strange. But strange doesn't mean wrong. Unfamiliar doesn't mean empty. Peace is the real thing. And from this moment forward, it's not optional. It's your new minimum. You don't chase love anymore. You wait for peace. Because peace isn't too much to ask for. It's what love is supposed to feel like. There comes a moment when you stop fighting for what was never yours to keep. When you stop trying to fix what keeps breaking you. When you finally realize you're not at war anymore. Close the battlefield gate. Let it lock behind you. And don't look back. You've cried enough. You've explained yourself enough. You've stayed longer than you should have. Hoping they'd see your worth. Hoping your love would change them. But you weren't called to be a soldier for someone else's comfort. You weren't born to bleed to keep someone else warm. That battlefield, it was never love. It was survival. It was sacrifice. It was sacrifice dressed as affection. It was you abandoning yourself over and over again to earn scraps of attention. No more. From here on out, you walk toward the garden, where peace grows, where kindness doesn't come with conditions, where love doesn't ask you to shrink, to be accepted. You walk toward steady hands, toward honest hearts, toward love that doesn't keep you guessing. And if that means walking alone for a while, so be it. Better alone in peace than partnered in pain. You're not going back. You're not repeating what broke you, because the love you're looking for is out there. But it's waiting for the version of you who finally believes they're worth it. Close the gate, take a breath, and keep walking forward. You're done with war. Now let peace be the rest of your story.